Hi! It's Tuesday, it's time for table time. I'm gonna give it a minute because I think I'm actually, for once, like a minute early. I can never be perfectly on time. I have to either be early or a little bit after. I just don't think I run well by a clock, ever since becoming a mom especially. But I'm gonna give people a minute to hop on here, and then we're going to talk about a couple things tonight. I just realized I'm still wearing my apron. Sorry, I was making cauldrons before this. Hold on. Hold up. Ugh, caught in my hair. Okay, there we go. Ooh, okay. So, originally, I wanted to talk about financial abundance and some of the things related to that tonight. But I was going through my day today and I was just literally sat down and I wrote down financial abundance at the top of the page. And I was like, all right, what do I want to tell them about this? What do I want to talk about this? How can I share what I know? And literally everything but that came out onto the page. And so then I ended up just going, okay, what do I actually want to talk about? What do I actually want to share with everyone? And it came down to the fact that I was like, I've been talking about this fairly recent concept of the 4 levels of yourself, right? Like last week we talked all about how you have to take a goal through the physical, the mental, the emotional, and then down to the energetic. And we talked all about that. And here in this group, I originally created this to talk about the cycles. And that's not changing, by the way. I want you guys to know that. I know I've been posting a lot about like the course I created and things like that. Please know that I will still be sharing plenty of free things here. This is still a free group. It is still a place to share what we know and to engage with each other. It does not have to, it's not just a place for me to throw what I make at you. A lot of times I'm making those things just as resources, and it's more just me letting you know, hey, this is here if you want it. I did the same thing in the description of this video because everything I talk about with mirroring up to these cycles and tapping into these and understanding them, that's what I talk about in the course I just made. That's why I made it, because it's one thing to listen to me ramble every Tuesday, which you're more than welcome to do. Join me every week. I love it. But it's another thing to actually be walked through the process and apply it to your own life. So anyway, enough about that. I'm going to cover mainly tonight how to look at those outer cycles that we often talk about, like the Wheel of the Year, which Imbolc is coming up, just so you know. Wheel of the Year, the lunar cycle, we talk about that. But one of the things I'm going to be addressing that I haven't really talked about as much is your personal energy cycle. And I don't necessarily just mean for this inner work stuff. I mean like a literal physical energy level. And so we're going to take it from Wheel of the Year to the lunar cycle to maybe like a weekly cycle and then into the daily cycle. And I'm actually going to start sharing a little bit more about how I actually turned a very hectic, overwhelming life into one where I have space. And I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I've done with that space. So it's going to be a couple different things that we're jumping through tonight. It's just kind of a, hey, here's what I'm doing and here's some of the things that I know that I want to share with you. So, sorry, my pendulum was hiding in my shirt. So, the first thing I want to talk about is about mirrors. You guys hear me talk about this all the time, how everything is a mirror. Everything is a mirror. Everything is a mirror. But we can actually take the Wheel of the Year, the lunar cycle, the weekly cycle, and the daily cycle and actually mirror it with what's going on inside of us when we take a goal and we try and make it real, right? Where we take it through the physical, through the mental, we satisfy the emotional, and then we get to the energetic, which is a yes or a no. And we'll have plenty more talks about that. But I actually took my daughter's crayons and I created a little visual for this week because I wanted to show you guys how I see it and how I think of it, okay? And not only that, but I've had a lot of questions recently about finding your path. And this especially comes from people who are very new to witchcraft, or even those that aren't, but are just really looking for something that suits them a little bit more. And, you know, most of us here are into like the green witchery, the hedge witchery, working with herbs, kitchen witchery, cottage witchery. Most of us in this group kind of fall in there somewhere. We've got a couple Morrigan witches, including myself. There's a whole lot of paths that you can take, but for those of us here in this group who have a tendency to focus more on what we want to get done, I don't know why comments are not showing up. Hold on, this is bothering me. Boop. I don't want that. Okay, for some reason, I don't know why it's doing that. I hate that it's not letting me see who's on here anymore. It's driving me crazy. But, okay, what was I talking about before I got distracted by that? Holy banana stacks, I completely lost my place. Oh, okay. Because I've been having a lot of questions about the path, and I'm actually going to show you, because we're all about self-development here. We're all about setting a goal and actually learning to make it happen. Like, the best thing I ever did was learn to use my witchy side to make things happen, okay? Because that's what we all want. That is what we all want. We want to satisfy in both parts of ourselves, the person that loves to bullet journal and draw and create all these things and schedule and plan, and then also with the intuitive witch inside of us who is just pure magic. We want to blend those two aspects of ourselves that we so often feel like have to be two separate people. I know that was a huge problem for me, was feeling like I literally had to keep those sides of myself separate, and I couldn't share the witchy side with some people and I couldn't share the planner side with other people, because there never seemed to be something that I was always very insecure about being seen for the whole of me, right? And that's something that a lot of witches suffer from, and I want you to know that there are groups like this where we will celebrate you for being the amazing witch that you are. And for those of you, I keep seeing, I think, like 1 or 2 people hopping on or off. If you guys comment, or anyone hops on here and comments, either during or after the video, I will absolutely hop on and answer questions, but I unfortunately cannot see them because my Facebook doesn't like me at table time anymore. So, blending those two pieces of myself together was the best thing that I ever did. And it's what actually helped me kind of get my shit together, for lack of a better word. And that's something that, you know, like I've talked about before, once you kind of reach a new level of yourself, then that problem that you thought you dealt with becomes new all over again with you, and you have to deal with it differently on a different level. And that's something that I'm experiencing lately. So, how do I want to talk about this? So, number 1, I want you to stop separating yourself. And I want to make it really clear that you are welcome to be your whole self here. And that's the entire goal here. Yes, it's for me to teach about the cycles. Yes, it's for me to teach about witchcraft. But it is about you having a safe space to completely be yourself and connect with other people who are wholly being themselves. And that's amazing. And I really wanted to create a space that inspired that, okay? So I'm going to actually be teaching you over the next few weeks, over the next few table times, posts, whatever. I'm going to be sharing a lot about how I kind of melded the two sides of myself and created something beautiful from it that has brought such a level of happiness into my life that I can't even explain. But first, I want to address the question that I've been getting: how do I know what my path is? How do I find my path? And if you ask me, I'm going to tell you, as always, if I could have you guys repeat it back to me, I would. Witchcraft starts with the witch. Okay, your path in witchcraft starts with you. And so what you need to learn to do is keep moving forward always, and trust that the universe has your back. It's the craziest trust exercise you'll ever do. But by learning to feel the fear and then just go, nope, I've got this, and just take one more step forward, and just keep doing that again and again, and you will see change in your life. You will see things come together in so many ways, and I'm going to be sharing ways to help with that and to help work through some of those fears, because that was something that held me back for so long. And I'm so glad I got over it. I'm so glad I healed from that, and now I'm on to new blocks, but it's fun, and I actually look at it as a learning experience now. So I don't know why I keep rambling about my own life. Forgive me, it's just kind of what I do, and it's where my head is at today. But anyway, so the thing about these 4 levels of self and your path is that everything you do is a constant cycle through them. It's a constant cycle in a spiral, almost, through these levels of yourself, that's your most important path. Before you start trying to find any sort of label that fits you, which by all means do, find things that fit that aesthetic visual part of your brain and use labels that way. But don't limit yourself, okay? The most important path in witchcraft is the one that leads to the center of you. Follow the witchy brick road to you, okay? And so, I manically looked like a mad woman earlier because I was trying to draw this out so that I could actually show you how I actually see it. Because it's not just a cycle, it is actually a spiral through these different ones, and it's a consecutive path. It's not a direct line. And here, I suppose, so I'll stop actually thinking that I'm showing you this. Okay, so forgive me, you can see all my scribbles on here for all the stuff I wanted to talk about. But so when I talk about the 4 levels of self, here's you, this big thing, it's you. Okay, you have the physical, which is this lovely green crayon line. I seriously stole my daughter's crayons to make this. It's got this lovely physical. You have the mental, you have the emotional, and you have the energetic here at the center. Okay, now very rarely are you actually going to be able to go from here, boom, to here. Very rarely, okay, because part of being human, and especially being a witch, is you are far more tuned in to all aspects of yourself than most people. You are far more sensitive to fluctuations, you're far more sensitive to changes, usually, to noise, to excess energy on you. It usually manifests as depression or anxiety. I know for me, really bad anxiety usually. But so very rarely are you going to take a straight line here, because that's just not how our path works, right? We have to work through, so we end up kind of just making our way through this and kind of going through and spiraling down, down, down and getting closer, and then we get to the energetic center. And so any goal that you decide to make a part of your life, you're going to have to walk this path with. And I know that seems very vague and a little bit abstract right now, but this was the best visual I could come up with like 20 minutes before I did this to communicate how those layers work and how it's not just a straight shot, okay? Very rarely. We talked about this last week, how sometimes when we get excited about something, we end up just like going right down into our energetic body, because there's just that part of us that just knows it's right, and we just get excited about it and we just go right down into it and we just force that yes, okay? And it's not even forced, it's just getting excited and exploding into that yes. And every goal, I will repeat this from last week, every goal needs to make you feel that yes, even if it's just for a split second before the other layers take over, okay? You need to feel that yes and be excited about accomplishing your goal, or it's useless. You won't get there. If you're not excited about it, you literally will put it off in every way and self-sabotage, okay? So, the other thing to know about that, hold on, where's another crayon? Oh, okay. So, the other thing to know about that, let me see if I can tilt this down a little bit. Guys, I'm super good at this. Super duper good. Okay, I don't know how well that's gonna hold, so we're just gonna tilt it back and I'll just hold it up more. Okay, so, in here, let's say you're on your path and you're going, okay? So here's our spiral. Trying to draw this dark enough where you guys can see it. Okay. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Okay, so let's say we're going on our path, and right when we get to we hit a mental block, right? You're working on this goal, and you're spiraling in, poof, you hit a block, okay? And if we choose not to address the block, then what happens is our goal that we were taking with us adds to it, and the block gets bigger. Especially on the mental side of things, because our ego takes that and goes, see, I was right. There's another piece of evidence that shows you can't move past this, and you shouldn't do that, right? So next time, let's say we try and readdress that goal, we go through, poof, we hit that same block again. But this time, we're excited about our goal. This time we're really in tune with what we're doing. And we say, thanks, but I'm coming at it differently. Let's say you're coming at it with more velocity. The more excitement you have and the clearer you are on it, the smoother sailing it's gonna be and the quicker you're gonna go through that. So let's say you use velocity and you break past that goal. Then you get to your emotional body. Boom! Block. Because maybe it caused you pain before or rejection. So what happens? Maybe you get stuck there again. You add to that block because that goal, that dream that you had now becomes just another failed attempt, because that's how we have a tendency to look at failure, right? It was something wrong we did. We can't do it again. Okay? But let's say maybe we don't get stuck there. Maybe we're still so pumped that we got past this, and maybe we're seeing how smoothly things are going, and then we're literally getting to this one and we just power through that. But then we hit another one. Boom. And then we get past that one, we use our velocity, and then all of a sudden our energetic body goes, no. No. Well, you just came a long way to give up now. Okay, you went through all this, you made it through all these other blocks. Your energetic body gets scared and goes, no, and shuts the door. Almost like someone who's, what's that word, agoraphobic, who doesn't want to leave the house, right? So they shut out the outside world because they're scared of the outside world. Their home is their space, it's controlled space, so they don't leave, okay? Because leaving stresses them out. Well, your energetic body, if you put up enough blocks and it's not used to being spoken to, it's not used to being nurtured or loved, your energetic body will have a tendency to go, oh, something's coming, no, and shut the door, slam the door, okay? But if you come at this, you make it past these emotional blocks and these mental blocks with love, okay? That's one of the key pieces here is excitement, joy, and love. Those three things will help you knock out any block that's in your way, I assure you. But once you get here and you encounter that no, just like we talked about last week, I want you to say, why? And I want you to listen to it. And I don't mean listen to it like take what it's, what you feel and the fear or desperation or pain around that. I don't want you to take it as fact. What I want you to do is I want you to get there, and it's almost like sitting down for a cup of coffee with yourself. Okay, and this is where shadow work comes in. This is how I think of shadow work. I imagine it like coming up to a house, and you go inside and you sit by the fire and you walk in, but it's a different side of you, right? It's maybe not dressed as nice, maybe it's a little bit bitchier, maybe it's, or all these different sides that we consider our shadow selves, which are not bad. I want to make that very clear. Shadow side is not bad. It's just a different side of you. It's the balance, right? So one thing that you're going to look at is you're going to get here and you're going to essentially ask your shadow self, that's the one closing the door, you're going to ask her to sit down for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And I want you to sit with her and I want you to listen to her. Or him. There's a couple men in this group. I want you to listen to them. I want you to listen to whatever side of yourself that is, that fear, that pain, that side that just needs love, okay? Just needs someone to sit and listen and say, I am so sorry for what you've gone through, but that's not the way the world is. And it's almost like getting to show that other side of yourself the amazing things. And for those of us with anxiety and depression, this part is especially important, because depression and anxiety get very deep within us. Like they are once they set in, I mean, they're in your core. And while yes, you are a being of light underneath that, I assure you, it's kind of like being wrapped in like 50 layers of duct tape, then 3 wool blankets that are wet, and then like a bomb shelter, okay? And that's what it can feel like sometimes, but I want you to know that all you gotta do is make it past those first blocks with love, excitement, joy. Just keep going on your path towards yourself, and you'll reach the shadow side of yourself. You'll sit down, you'll listen to her, and I'm just going to say her, please know that I mean anyone across the gender spectrum, okay? You'll sit down, you'll listen to her, you'll comfort her, and then say, but here's what I know instead. So if you get to this point, you know, let's say you reach a point where you come in here and you get to the no. And it's because there's a very deep fear that they're going, no, but when someone sees that side of us, they think we're weird. And we get pain or rejection about who we are, right? That's a very deep pain. So, but what if you sit down with that side of yourself and you listen and you say, yeah, maybe at one time that happened. But the way you get past that is you ask yourself, what are 3 times I let the world see me and it was amazing? What are 3 times when someone saw the real me and they loved me for it? You know, what are 3 times when I taught my kids something amazing that only I know how to do? Or that only I know because I've been through this, you know? So ask yourself and show your shadow self just a few times and really tap into how they felt, those really good times. Tap into how they felt and give your shadow self light. And say, it's okay to be cautious, but we need to keep moving forward anyway. Because guess what happens, by the way? This spiral, I like to think of it as those things that like hypnotists would spin, or like they spin the thing and it just continuously circles, and it looks like it kind of continuously goes in and then it continuously goes in. That's kind of what you end up doing on your path as a witch, right? As you're moving past these things and you're getting more in tune, and your sensitivity to your energetic body and connecting with it heighten. It's actually a very, very, very cool experience, and you start going through this spiral much quicker. It's more intense at times, but it's just much quicker. But in the beginning, you really have to put in that walk through this, okay? And get excited and find ways to keep yourself excited through this. Because what's lying here in this energetic body past that no is possibility. It's abundance, it's love, it's being in tune with the universe, being in tune with the energy currents all around you. I really wish I had a good way to depict those guys, the energy currents for you. Maybe I'll find a way to do that sometime. But I want you guys to know that just because you hit a wall does not mean to stop. It does not mean that the universe does not want you to. If you hit something that causes a huge block or that causes a very uncomfortable situation, sometimes you need to feel it, and then you need to step back and go, hold on, how can I stop bashing my head against this wall? Where's the crack that I can go through? Okay? Or, you know what? Or you might hit a point where you're like, you know what? I'm done with this. And you get so determined and so in tune with what's on the other side of that wall that you smash through it like it's made of not even glass, it's made of paper. Okay? So, this is the most important path as a witch. That's spiral, inward. I realize I'm not holding this up very high. Spiral. And when you hit these blocks, it's okay. It does not mean that you shouldn't be doing something. It means that you need to keep moving forward. So that was the main thing that I wanted to talk about, was that you can use this spiral to actually learn to interpret where you're at with things, okay? And I'll go into that on another day. But the other way to think of this is, think of on a broad spectrum, we have the wheel of the year, and then you spiral inward and we get more specific at the lunar, and you feel it usually more presently, like the seasonal is on a very deep instinctual level, the wheel of the year. Then you have the lunar cycle, and then you have the weekly, and then you have the daily, which is you, which is what you're living and experiencing in the moment. It's almost more like wheel of the year, monthly, daily, moment, okay? Present moment, the now. And so anytime you're setting a goal, we've talked about this now, you need to satisfy each part of yourself. Okay? And I'm planning to go into it more next week-ish. Where I actually want to talk about how, ironically, though the inner and outer cycles are a mirror, what's funny is the wheel of the year pulls deeper on that energetic piece of you. And it's almost like they're inverted from each other. But, one thing I want to mention with this, and this is something that I have had renewed learning in recently. It's something that I learned and then hit a whole new block on my spiral with this. And I relearned it again on such a deep level that I had to share it with you guys. And that is that when something scary presents itself between you and your goal, the first question I want you to ask is, how would my ideal self, the person I want to be, the person I dream of being, how would they handle this? How would they react? How would they respond to the situation? Would they care that that coworker made a mean comment? Or would they just keep going on knowing that there's better things ahead of them? You know, would I hide this purchase from my spouse, or would I talk about it? So that then I'm not living with the stress of someone finding out about something, because guess what, when you talk about it, it's probably fine. And ask, how would the person I want to be handle this? And then the second thing is, I actually wrote, where did I write this down? Hold on, gotta check the various grimoires. One of the things I wrote down was, and this is something that I have been repeating to myself, which is, I put my trust in the universe and I continue on. Even if it's one step, I put my trust in the universe and I will keep going. Because sometimes you're just running into one of those blocks. And they're not as strong or as foreboding or as limiting as they seem. Okay? Sometimes they're just made of paper. Or sometimes they're just made of smoke. They're made of a mirage that usually our ego or our brain has gone, hey, but remember this, and then they project it and it looks real, but it's not. You just walk through it. One of my favorite things was shared by the lovely Martha in this group, and she shared it in another group that we're both in, and it was a meme of what a spiritual awakening feels like, or what a spiritual journey feels like, something along those lines. And it was someone literally at the edge of a very rickety rope and wood bridge over a huge cavern, and the whole thing was covered in fog, so you couldn't see a dang thing. You couldn't see if maybe the bridge ended. You couldn't see anything. You just had to basically trust that you were going to make it to the other side. And that is a lot like what this feels like sometimes. And I want you to know that those bridges, that fog, they're just blocks that part of us, our ego, put in place to try and keep us safe, to try and say, you probably shouldn't do that. You know, we've had a couple bad experiences with that. But there's the higher self going, go. There's the higher self that, you know, that gives you these sort of downloads, these sort of intuition moments where you just know what you're gonna do and nothing can stop you. And that feeling, the more you create space in your day, for instance, in your daily cycle, the more you create space for that intuition and space for that connection to the universe and for the universe to speak with you on that very deep, energetic and emotional and mental and everything level, you need to make space in your day. Okay? And like I said, I'm gonna be giving you guys a couple tips on that. because that's something that made such a difference in my life. Like now, I completely, even just my bullet journal spreads, because I think of my daily cycle and I'm so much more aware and in tune with it now, I plan my days completely differently. Completely. Old me would have been like, how the fuck do you not do so much in a day? But it's because I saw it as not a need to accomplish more, but a need to do less. Okay? So I'm going to be talking all about this in the coming week, and I'm actually, next week, table time, I'm planning to talk about this a little bit more. And, oh, what a difference it makes in your schedule to make time, but I won't lie, guys, I'm really tired tonight. So, but I wanted to show this quick, because you guys were all sharing your bullet journal spreads. These are my daily, was actually over kind of the weekend, but these are daily spreads, where I have my, what I need to do, kind of broken down by hour. And once again, I'll talk more about that another time, about how, truthfully, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, or you're just a stay-at-home, you know, maybe you're, you don't have to be a mom. Sometimes you're just a puppy mom, or a non-mom at all, stay-at-home mom, or no matter what's going on in your life, there's actually ways to understand your cycle and use that structure and those responsibilities in your life to actually create safety and structure, so that around them you have moments of breathable ease and joy and play and space, okay? Because while this is my schedule, notice how little of a portion it takes up on my page. I have a little to-do list up here for things that don't make it over here. And then I draw a daily tarot card every morning. But before I even get to that, I have a list of questions that I answer every single morning. And I even shared that with you guys yesterday, I believe, where it's, who do I choose to be today? How do I choose to feel? This week, I changed the questions every week to match what I'm feeling for the week. And like this week, like I showed you guys, they all had nurture in it. How can I nurture my mind? How can I nurture my soul? How can I nurture my body, my family, my business, you guys? And so since everyone was sharing that, this is what my stuff looks like now. This is nothing like what it looked like before, okay? And this gave me space to be with my children tonight. This gave me space to enjoy my time with them and not feel so burnt out. And this is structure without limits. Okay, because when you create safety and structure for yourself, it's a lot like this group, okay? I wanted to create a safe container, a safe space for all of us. And within that space is so much creativity. It's so much amazing ideas for bullet journals and like lunar cycles. Oh my gosh, Angel, when she was sharing all of her stuff, that was amazing. I have loved seeing every bit of that. And that's what I wanted for this group, was the ability for everyone to share and engage with each other. So with that, I'm going to kind of wrap up tonight. And like I said, I'll go into more about this stuff, the like planning side of things. I will actually go into breaking that down and how I did it and how you can do it as well next week. That'll be next table time. So from there, like I said, check out the 4 weeks to living by the cycles if you want more detailed like walkthroughs on this stuff. Or you can always, of course, comment on here or message me. More than welcome to. Imbolc is coming up. So some people call it like February Eve, or the first of February. Some people celebrate all the way up to like the 5th of February. It kind of depends on where you feel like you're at. For me, it definitely feels like February 1st this year. That's kind of where I'm at in the flow. But that's about it. If you guys want an Imbolc cauldron candle, you of course are more than welcome to check those out. It's a great way to start creating the habit of tapping in. And regardless, from there, I'll see you tomorrow and I'll give you guys some more stuff to do. I'm planning on posting a couple journal prompts for you guys tomorrow, kind of related to this stuff, to help you get more in tune with who you are and get down to those levels, okay? And yeah, I love you. Thank you for those of you that did hop on, for any of you that are catching the replay. I love you all. And I cannot describe how happy I am to have this group and all of you in it. So, good night.